Hey guys, this is Jim Huntsman coming at you from the Broken Tine studio right here in Clark Fork, Idaho. I had a few minutes to record some track here in between hunts, and here it is September before I get to the interview portion, because I just wanted to let you guys know a few things. First of all, our competitions, or our contests, rather. If you guys are out there and you film yourself scouting or hunting or whatever, make a quick 15-20 second clip and email it to me at jim@thewesternhuntsman.com. That's going to get you into the Tactacam drawing for a Spotter LR, which is a great little piece of equipment. The other one is do the same thing, take your phone or whatever, and film yourself bugling. And if you heard the announcement on the Instagram, if you just do that, you film yourself bugling, again, 10-20 second clip, but if you get a response, you're going to get 2 entries. If you kill that bull, that's 3 entries, and that is going to be for a complete Phelps Game Calls calling package. So like a bugle tube, some reeds, a pouch, external, all that kind of stuff. So check out the Instagram if you haven't been there, at the Western Huntsman, and you'll see the video for it. So hope you guys are doing well. I just wanted to make a couple of quick announcements in terms of the scheduling. I am not sure if I'm going to have an episode next week, just because it is, again, it's September archery elk, and that makes me a very busy guy. I've been out several times, and I've had some really good call-ins already, and it's still early too, so that's awesome. And so we'll get back to that. But the biggest thing I wanted to bring up was that I might miss next week. I might not. I don't know. I've got one episode loaded, but I just don't know if I'll be back to be able to put that thing together and get it out there into the interwaves of the podcast world. So the second thing I wanted to mention real quick was curious if you guys have heard the app Hunt League. You need to check out the Hunt League app, and it is Hunt League, just like a baseball league or something. Hunt League is an app where you can get on and join like a league. And there's the way they format it, it's a competition or a contest to track your hunts and log your hunts. It's not like a contest of who shot the biggest bull or who shot the biggest buck or the most or anything like that. At points, you get points. You don't even get points for the size of the animal. And that was a big thing for me, because I was super leery about this whole thing when I was first introduced to it, just because I'm just not into that. I'm not into who shot the biggest buck, who shot the biggest bull kind of thing. But the way they have this app designed, it's more about you get points for scouting and what you found out there and finding sign, and you get points for being out there and logging a hunt. And it's a really cool app to whether you're trying to have fun in a hunting league that's already on there that you could join and win prizes, or just it's a great way for me. Like, I really like it to use to log my hunts. There's a spot to make notes, so you can go through and basically explain, whether anybody else reads it or not, what you did that day, and it could tell you a lot. Like, I'm going to start tracking, okay, what was the moon phase, what did I hear bugle wise, what did I do there, what did I do here, and it's a great way to track all that information and just have it in one spot. And if you don't even want to do that, you can get the Hunt League app and follow the Content Creators League, which is the league that I'm in. And it's there's like me, there's Michael Batiste from Elk Calling Academy, there's Garrett Weaver from On Point Podcast, as several others in there in that Content Creator League. A guy from Western Contours, Joe Gilia from Elk Bros, I believe, is in there. Just a bunch of us that do like podcasts and stuff, and we're all in this league kind of competing against each other. Again, it's not about the score of the antlers or anything like that. It's just more about who's out there spending the time, getting it done, making progress every day and making memories and what it's all about hunt-wise. So check it out. Jump on wherever you get your apps from and just type in Hunt League. It's a cool app, super interactive. It's not very buggy at all. I was expecting a lot of bugs with this app, and it's really not. It's a great, well put together app. And check it out, and be sure to go check out the Creators Content League. All right, guys. Today's guest that I have for you is a friend of mine. who came up here to the property in Clark Fork and sat down with me here in the Broken Time studio, and we just talked hunting. What's interesting about it is his name's Steve Johnson, and Steve and I went hunting a couple days after we recorded this, and what I learned was Steve is a great elk caller. And so we recorded this, and like it was the following week. So in Idaho, bear, deer, and elk season all opened on August 30th for all your over the counter units and all that kind of stuff. So what was super interesting is that we record, and then the next week, Monday, August 30, he goes out and smokes a bear. And then he goes out, that was Monday. And then Tuesday, he goes out, calls in an elk, and kills an elk. And he went out again like the next day to help some buddies track a bear that they had hit. And then on that Friday, he came with me, met me. We had to leave our place at like 3 a.m, drove up, met up on this area we were hunting. And put in a good, solid, very difficult 5 miles into the North Idaho backcountry. He called in 3 bulls for me. One was a little raghorn that about ran us over. The next one just wouldn't give us a shot. Never actually saw that one, just heard him. He was raking, he was screaming. Steve's back there calling him in. And then like 2 hours later, we're walking down the drainage, kind of working our way out, and we're talking with like regular voices. We weren't even hunting at this point. We were kind of doing more scouting for mountain whitetail bucks, which was really funny. And all of a sudden, this bull chimes off like, I don't know, a couple hundred yards up the drainage from us, and he calls that sucker into like 20 yards from me. But I'm blocked by all these like willow brush at the bottom of the bottom of this drainage. And I can't see him. He could see him. I can't see him. And then the swirling winds at the bottom of this drainage, he caught wind of me and boogied up out the other side. It was a great day, man. It was such a great day. And so it's perfectly fitting to have Steve on this episode, because he is a legitimate freaking hunter, guys, and I want you guys to know that before I introduce him all official here coming up. But that's who I've got on the episode today. He's a great hunter. He's a good friend, just a great guy. I think you guys will get a lot out of this episode, and I always love going with somebody that I feel like I'm learning from, and I certainly did that with Steve. So here we go. Let's kick it off with Steve Johnson. There exists a threat from anti-hunting groups to politicians trying to give our land away, and we won't stand for it. Those vast western landscapes provide the space for our wildlife to thrive, and a place for hunters and anglers to fuel the fire that sparks their soul. In this show, we share our love of hunting, fishing, and conservation. Here, we provide the foundation to meet these threats through passion and the grit of the American outdoorsman. Welcome to the Western Huntsman Podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this episode of the Western Huntsman Podcast. This is Jim Huntsman, the host, and I'm coming at you from the Broken Time studio right here in Clark Fork, Idaho. And today I am joined by my buddy Steve Johnson. How you doing, brother?
Good. How are you doing?
We are doing one of the rare in-person interviews today, and I'm pretty excited to have Steve up here. I got a couple of quick announcements for you guys. We put a post out yesterday that was talking about, from our last episode with Rudy, or 2 episodes ago, I'm not sure, talking about our contest where you guys, if you're out scouting, whether you're scouting for September elk or you're scouting for October elk or any of your deer hunts coming up, mule deer, whitetail, whatever, bear, scouting for bear, I don't care what it is, take your phone out and record a quick little snap, or not snap, I don't know what I'm talking about. Steve's throwing me off here in the studio. I'm getting all tongue-tied. Take a quick little video, guys, like make it 10 seconds or 20 seconds, maybe, at the most 30 seconds, and tell us what you're scouting, and tell us where you're at. And I don't mean give us, coordinates to where you're hunting. Just say, I'm in Wyoming or Utah or Idaho or wherever. And give us a little synopsis of your scouting trip, and then submit that into jim@thewesternhuntsman.com, and you will be entered in for the random drawing to win a Tactacam Spotter LR. And that spotter, guys, what that is you can take it, you can connect it to your spotting scope, right? Or onto you could attach it to a rifle scope, but that would be pretty tricky because they have something separate for that. It's called the FTS, film through scope, so you wouldn't want to worry about that. But through the spotter, and it's its own camera, and you turn it on, and you could watch what you're filming. So if you're out scouting, you could film, this buck's over there, and you can kind of learn which bucks are where and where they're hanging out and all that kind of stuff. It's a great piece of equipment. So if you guys want to be entered into the drawing for that, again, while you're out on the mountain scouting this, you have till September 30th. Just take a quick video and send it over to me. I think it'd be really cool. We also have a really cool giveaway that I'm going to be announcing on the next episode. Actually, I'm not sure what order these episodes are coming out, but you're going to be hearing about it. You might already know about it by the time you're listening to this, but we are going to be doing a really cool Phelps giveaway. I've got a full elk calling package for you: a bugle tube, some reeds, an external, and you're gonna see. I'm gonna put it all together, and we'll put it out on the old Instagram there. So, Steve,
what's up?
I think that's good for announcements, right?
Sounded pretty good.
Did I sound pretty official?
Yeah. You sounded like a good podcast host. Sure.
Well, I got you fooled at least.
Yeah.
So Steve and I have known each other for some time, and have been talking back and forth. Steve is one of those guys that is just your all-around. Now, do you prefer Steve or Steven?
Everybody at work calls me Steve, and so
okay,
that's what I usually roll with.
Because usually we're talking on Facebook, and it's Steven.
Yeah.
It's Steven Johnson. So Steve.
Well, and then I get those people that call me Stefan.
Stefan.
Yeah. I've got a guy, I know this guy. I've known him for years, and he still calls me Stefan to this day. And he's heard other people call me Steven lots of times.
That's hilarious,
he
man.
Still calls me Stefan.
We should get him drunk
funny.
And get him on the podcast.
Yeah, we should, definitely.
Steve and I are sitting here drinking some ice cold. Actually, they're not that cold, huh? Coors Light.
Well, when I popped it, the mountain was a little blue. So it's
I put them in this morning. My fridge here in the studio's not cooking like it should be, but
it works for me.
It works, dude. It's wet.
I'm not picky.
It's wet. Yeah.
There's been lots of times we forgot to put beer in the cooler at elk camp, and we get back to
the
camp
temperatures
and they're warm.
lately. Yeah, the temperatures have been keeping them down lately at night too.
Yeah.
So, but anyways, this is like the longest intro because I keep getting sidetracked. For Steve, Steve is a fellow North Idahoan. And he is like an all-around outdoorsman. And we're going to talk a little elk hunting. We're going to talk about some whitetail hunting for you public land mountain whitetail hunters out there. I think that's what our main focus is going to be, because I think Steve, he got the bug big time for mountain whitetail. And I've been getting it. If you've been listening to the show, you know I get excited about these mountain whitetail, which is funny because like 5 years ago, I was all about mule deer. And I'd be like, oh, big whitetail bucks, those are for wimps. You got real men go after big mule deer.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, my whole thing has changed. I still love a good muley.
Yeah.
But we're gonna really focus on whitetail, and talk about that. So tell us a little bit about where you're from, how you grew up, and we'll take it from there, brother.
So I'm actually from Washington. I was born in Washington.
Oh, I didn't know that. You can't be in this trailer now. No.
I was born in Port Townsend, Washington, in 1989, and moved here. My parents moved us here when I was 3 years old. My mom's from this area. So I pretty much just grown up in Idaho. Everything that I can remember is Idaho.
Yeah.
Yeah. And my dad, he was a commercial salmon fisherman when I was just a baby.
Oh, sweet.
And
that's where you get that. That's where you got that passion. Okay, that makes sense. Now.
That's where the fishing. My whole family's been. I mean, there's lines of fishermen in my family, even on Pend Orielle Lake. Mm-hmm. My mom's dad's. So my mom's dad. Was a commercial fisherman on Pend Orielle.
On Pend Orielle?
On Pend Orielle Lake.
Oh, interesting.
My dad's dad was stationed at the base in Pend Orielle back when it was actually
oh, really?
Yeah.
Like an active, like super, it's still an active base, but...
Right, but I'm talking about the historical side of it now.
Oh, that's freaking cool, man.
So when you go into the park, I actually, for my dad's birthday one year, me and my brothers, we went down there and we pulled a picture of his whole company.
From the Navy?
From the Navy, yeah. They had a picture of all of them lined up out there.
At Bayview?
No, in like one of the barracks up there.
Really?
Yeah, so we actually found that picture and got it all framed up for him and gave it to him for his birthday one year.
Oh,
that
that's
was pretty
cool, man.
Yeah,
that's super cool.
Yeah.
So what for a lot of you in North Idaho are going to know what we're talking about. For some of you that aren't, you might be surprised to know that where Steve and I are at here, where I live here in Clark Fork, we're just a stone throws away from Pend Orielle, which is the deepest lake in Idaho. It's one of the top deepest lakes in America.
Yeah.
I had it clocked at 1,100 feet at one point on one of my fish finders once.
Yeah.
So that's pretty impressive. But what a lot of people don't know is there is a naval base on this lake, and they do acoustical submarine testing and all sorts of stuff on it. That's how big and deep it is, and it's like crazy good fishing, and you've mastered it where I get my ass kicked on it constantly.
I haven't mastered it.
Well,
I've
seen the fish you've caught, dude. Like, you've pretty much mastered it. I go out there and I catch minnows.
You know, and that's some days, like, there'll be several days in a row where I'm talking about just, there's a big group of fishermen out there, and we all kind of intermingle, talk with each other.
Mm-hmm.
And there's lots of times when you go for days, you just catch shakers.
Yeah.
We call them shakers.
Yeah, you just shake them off.
Yeah.
I could catch the hell out of the, now I'm dry, the kokanees. But that's it. Oh,
yeah. No, me and my wife, we have a blast doing that. We go out there and...
they're good, man.
Man, they are. And, you know, it's a lot of people complain about the size, but they're literally the perfect size fish to put in a can. If you like canned fish, if you like canning...
Be a little closer to the mic there.
Yeah.
There you go.
If you like canning kokanee,
uh-huh.
They're the perfect size. They fit right into a can.
That's a good point,
like in
man.
A jar. Perfect.
Do you guys can them?
Yeah.
Oh, sweet. I didn't know that.
Yeah. I'll usually smoke them just a little bit, just to give them that smoky flavor.
Uh-huh.
And then the rest of the cooking process is done in a jar. So
that's awesome, man. No, I love it, dude.
Yeah.
And so you grew up fishing on Pend Orielle.
Yeah,
like,
ever since I was just, knee-high to a grasshopper.
Uh-huh.
I've been out there fishing for mostly kokanee up until I was 25-ish.
Mm-hmm.
And then I've always wanted to pursue the rainbows, and I just started...
Those big kamloops?
Oh, man, I got addicted. It's like the whitetails right now. I mean, it just got the bug, and I had to go for it, and I just geeked out.
That's awesome, man. And there's an art to it, just like hunting big whitetails.
Man, there's a list. There's moon phase, there's wind direction, wind speed, cloud cover. Like, all that stuff comes into play. Water clarity, water temperature, barometric pressure. I mean, you have to take all that stuff into account, especially, like, if you're a weekend warrior. Like, most of the time I'm working and stuff, but...
Yeah.
If you pay attention to those details...
Makes a big difference.
It really does, yeah.
Line, go ahead.
No, line diameter and...
Really?
Yeah, I mean...
Wow,
and specific line companies. Like, I only use Seagar now for my leader material.
Uh-huh.
It just... I don't know what it is about Seagar, but...
Okay, when I get a new boat, I'm going to come and see you so I could figure out how to get outfitted, because I couldn't catch one, dude. I know, seriously. And your wife's way into it, too,
yeah,
isn't she?
She's really into it. She started a Facebook group just for the lake.
The Ponder, I can't, what's
Lake
that Facebook?
Pend
Lake Pend Orielle. Fishing something.
Yeah, well, it was that, and then she changed it to Deep Waters Fishing Group.
Oh, okay.
So,
yeah.
No, she's really into it. She actually works on the lake. She works at Gary McDonald's down in Bayview.
I don't even know what Gary McDonald's is.
It's funny because I'll be talking about, and that's what everybody says. I'll be talking about McDonald's, and they're like, your wife works at McDonald's?
What is like, Gary McDonald's?
Fast
is that the one that is right there at the main boat ramp by, it's that floating little restaurant?
There's a little restaurant right there.
Uh-huh.
That's not Gary's. If you launch your boat there by that restaurant, you go across the bay. He's on the right just before you get to the last boathouses out there.
As you're going out the bay?
Yeah.
On the right? I didn't know there was a restaurant there. I know there's a captain's wheel.
It's not a restaurant. So the captain's wheel is on the left-hand side. If you're heading out in the lake, it'd be the left-hand side of the restaurant you're talking about. Gary's, he just has the gas. And
oh, okay.
He's got a nice little store in there, and they sell hoodies, they sell ice, they sell drinks,
I need to go check that out. So
it's super cool.
We always bypass it. So we'd launch over in Farragut, and every morning, dude, when we'd launch, my wife and I, we'd come into Bayview for that little bar grill thing right on the boat ramp.
Yeah.
Because they have like the world's best Bloody Marys. And so we'd start with that. And that's how we started every trip on the boat.
Yeah.
So, anyway.
No, that yeah, Gary's, he's got fishing tackle too. So I mean, if you want to, if you're out there, say you're kokanee fishing, you forgot corn or you forgot wedding rings or something like that, you can just pull into Gary's right there. Mm-hmm. Jump off your boat onto the dock and walk into the store. I mean, it's right on the water. He's got all kinds of stuff. He's got apexes and
he's going to get a bunch of new business out of this.
I hope so.
And I feel like he should sponsor the podcast after this, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Folks, visit Gary McDonald's in Bayview, Idaho.
Yeah.
Right on Pend Orielle Lake for all your fishing, boating needs.
He'd appreciate it. Gary's a super awesome guy.
Good.
And he's one of those guys. You meet him for the first time, and you tell him your name, and then you show up maybe like 2 weeks later, even a month later. He remembers your name.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, he's just super awesome, dude. Gary's got a big heart.
So,
I love Gary.
No, that's awesome, man. I'm going to have to check that out. I sold my boat a couple years ago, actually, and haven't been out on the lake since. So I'm going to take you up if you want to take me out fishing.
Yeah, no, I usually keep the boat. I go... I usually hunt September pretty hard. I'll hunt a little bit in October, but then middle of October comes through November, and I'm fishing.
Yeah, me too.
I'm like...
Yeah, it's either there's going to be a short window, or we're going to have to bump it to next spring.
Yeah. The fall fishing's amazing, though.
Oh, I'm sure.
If you want to catch a good rainbow.
And don't get me wrong, dude. I love fishing, but hunting is priority for me.
Oh, I get it.
Right?
Yeah.
And so you're going out elk hunting, right?
Yeah.
September archery elk season kind of thing.
Actually, on Monday, I'm gone for a week.
I'm
going to be up. I'm going to be hunting deer. Deer's kind of my top priority.
So you're starting
now.
with deer that first week. That's right.
Yeah.
And then you're going out like towards the end of September for elk.
Yeah.
Okay. And what we're going to talk about, guys, because if you guys have been, paying attention, whatever. We have here at the Western Huntsman, we have the School of September series, and it is a series solely focused on elk, hunting the rut in September with a bow, calling bulls in, all that kind of stuff. That's kind of that. The idea behind this is I've had a lot of requests in discussion about, some people are like, well, you do School of September for archery hunters for elk. What about like a School of October for rifle elk hunters, Mm-hmm. And then I've had another 2 or 3 emails come in that are requesting more on the whitetail hunting that, if you guys remember when we had Troy Pottinger on, and we both, that mutual friend for both of us, and Troy is kind of like the go-to, what do you want to call him? Like the legend of public land whitetail hunters.
For us out here, Troy, he's the spokesperson for us out here. I mean,
he really is. Like,
you can go through all the podcasts all over the web. There's nothing for here other than Troy.
Yeah.
I mean, when you have Troy here in the studio, I mean,
for any like Western public land mountain bucks.
Yeah.
Troy is the go-to guy.
Yeah.
And in fact, I need to get him back on, but I'm worried I waited too long, and now we're getting into hunting season, so I might not be able to catch up with him. But I'm going to try, because your passion that has kind of brought you to where you're at now is talking these whitetails and hunting these whitetails on public land, because there's a lot of content out there. We were talking before we started recording about, hunting big whitetails in Kansas or, the Midwest. And where when we're talking more these mountain whitetails, which are a totally different animal, there's not a lot out there. And
No.
so we're going to talk like what got you excited about these mountain whitetails?
Well, I've had a drive for it for the last, I want to say at least 10 years now, just wanting to figure out those bucks up there. And me and my buddies at elk camp will sit around and we'll talk and just be like, yeah, shoot, I saw a big whitetail today. And no rhyme or reason. It's just, he's up here at 4,000 feet or 4,500 feet.
Like
way up in the woods.
Is it like
where we're elk hunting?
Do you guys see it like I do, where it's like they appear and then they're gone and you never see them again?
Yeah, and then that's it. It's like a ghost.
Yeah.
And when I listened to the podcast you did with Troy and his sons, I was blown away. I was just what he was saying and how he was targeting these deer up here in our area. And it's just like, man, like this guy, he knows what he's talking about. He's got it. And so I was like, I got to start diving into this to try it out.
Yeah.
And I reached out to Troy, and Troy got back to me, and I got some of his scents, the Buck Fever synthetics, and started applying it. And not all of my scrapes took off, I'll say that, but I blame that on just trial and error. You know what I mean?
And for those that have never listened to the Troy Pottinger episode, first of all, shame on you listening out there. You got to go back and listen.
It's very, very insightful. Like,
right?
Oh my gosh,
he's awesome. And then, but can you kind of describe or explain what a whitetail scrape is when you're making it for mountain whitetail?
Yeah, so it's taken me I'm on year 2 of doing the scrapes the way Troy does it and trying to pattern deer and take the trail cam pictures and try to put it all together to piece this puzzle. And I don't know, man, like the way
Troy... Oh, go ahead. Did I cut you off?
No, you're fine. But, well, when I build a scrape, it's basically, it's like Troy explains in his podcasts, or when he talks about it, or in his boot camp. You're not building a testosterone scrape, which is what goes through a lot of people's heads instantly. It's like when you talk scrapes. Troy's building a community hub scrape, where all these deer in the woods up here, and I think that's something I've learned that's pretty key with it, is that these deer use it like a telephone booth because we have such low deer densities. You don't just drive up in the woods up here and start seeing deer, maybe down in our ags and stuff.
Yeah, those are different.
Yeah, they're but this is a big scrape, and I've heard Troy describe like car hood scrape, big, so the dirt's dug out I usually dig it out 3 foot wide. And then I have a licking branch above it. And I apply the scents down on the ground. And the licking branch for this time of year, September, early spring, that's pretty key. They're hitting that. They're not usually doing anything in the dirt. I've seen that on my cameras now. Just they're not doing
like crazy.
Yeah, they come in and like I'll see bucks show up in March, April, May. It just depends on the elevation and their snow. And the first thing they do is they sniff the ground a little bit, and then they start hitting the licking branch, and they're rubbing their forehead gland, and then they kind of mosey off. They're not hitting it for very long, but...
And so it's like a check-in hub, right?
Yeah.
Like are you talking both does and bucks hit this thing? And so they just come in, they leave some scent, and that lets the other deer know, okay, so-and-so's been here, and so I'm going to let them know I've been here, and then they move on, another buck or another doe or whatever. They all just kind of, it's how they... It's like the coffee shop in a small town. Everybody's kind of learning what's going on.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Okay.
So that's what I'm trying to build out there. And I've been calling it a telephone booth, basically, because it
kind of is, yeah.
Yeah, if you relate it to it, it's basically their way. They're not seeing each other every day. They're coming up, they're dressing the licking branch, they're hitting it, they're leaving their little signature on there, and then the next deer that comes in, it could be a day later, it might be a couple hours later. It smells that licking branch, check it out, leaves it scent, and then it's off to the wherever it's heading,
off to where it's going,
bedding
man.
or feed zone. Or
And just to recap, what for some of you young bucks out there, a phone booth is something that back in the day, you used to have to go put a quarter in it to make a phone call, and there was no text messaging, and the phone was connected with a wire, and that's how you just had to stand there and talk on the phone.
Yeah.
I'm just clarifying.
Yeah.
We're just clarifying.
I was right at the end of that transition. I still remember it.
I was somewhere in Montana the other day and saw they had it, that there is a phone booth. I don't know if the phone still works in it, but there was a phone booth. It was at like a gas station or something.
I got a funny story about a phone booth over in Seattle.
Is it clean or is it?
No, it's clean. Me and my buddy, I was probably 9 years old or 10 years old, and we were heading over to Seattle. We were going over to see some family, and me and him were riding together with his dad and my uncle. And we get to the 76 station in Issaquah. And it's still there to this day. If you're driving through,
I think I know what station
off
that
to the
is.
right. There's a big
I-90?
76 ball, like the old school. Like,
I
I'm
think
right
I know.
here,
Yep.
you know.
Yep.
And they had a phone booth out there, and I think it's still there. I'm pretty sure. Me and my wife drove through there not too long ago, and I think that phone booth's still there. But we went in there, and his dad was getting gas. My uncle, they were doing, checking fluids and everything like that. And we walked over to that phone booth, and he punched in 911 on that. He's like, it doesn't work unless you put money in it.
Except 911.
Yeah, except 911. And we got chased out of there.
Oh, jeez, man.
Oh, man, we got the ration. Oh. The wrath
people
came down.
Don't understand like the beauty of these phone booths. Like I used to go, I'd take the phone book and I'd find like the principal at middle school, their phone number, and I'd call them and I'd be like, "Hey, this is so and so from the district. I just want to let you know you're fired. Don't show up tomorrow." and we thought in 7th grade we were going to have school maybe cancel for the day or something because he was so upset.
Oh man!
But you can't do that anymore. Now we have caller ID and all sorts of stuff. So,
I wish I could have done that.
Oh, it was awesome. And he
cool.
didn't believe. I remember that specific call when I called. It was the principal of my middle school. And I told him that I was some dude from the district, and we decided he was fired. And he's like, "Oh, that's unfortunate. I hate to hear that." He's like playing
Seriously?
along. Yeah, he's like playing along. He knew I was full of shit, but he's just playing along. So anyway, the things you remember at random times, recording a podcast.
Man, like I didn't have that luxury. Like I was homeschooled, so
yeah. Well, my kids are homeschooled now.
Yeah.
So that way they don't have to go find a phone book and fire anybody.
There's no excuses. There's no sick days. There's no excuses.
No. But they get to hunt a lot.
Yeah, see, and that was the perk when I was growing up. My parents were pretty lenient on that with us.
So getting back to like growing up and stuff, did you guys, as a family, hunt a lot, or where did that come from?
So my dad took us out deer hunting when I was probably 13 years old, 12 or 13, and I hadn't had a tag yet. I hadn't even been through hunter safety yet, but I always wanted to go. I was like, we need to go hunting. Dad wasn't a hunter. Actually, my mom's more of a hunter than my dad.
Oh, really?
Believe it or not.
I've heard that a few times lately.
Yeah,
so
my mom, she was a killer. And to this day, still, she loves to get out with us and go hunting. But, my dad, he took us out, and he got this rifle and got us all camoed out. We all had orange stocking caps and orange vests.
Oh, yeah.
And that was my first hunting experience.
And you're like 13.
Yeah, I was...
Do you need a beer, dude?
I'd love one.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll grab one. You keep telling the story.
But, that was my first hunting trip. And then my grandpa, he was always an avid hunter, and he kind of kept that going for us. My dad...
Was your grandpa, was he here in North Idaho, or was he over in Washington?
Yeah, he was in North Idaho.
Oh, gotcha.
It's my mom's dad. He was really a big hunter, loved to hunt.
Huh.
My grandpa didn't ever really take us hunting, he would just throw us a gun and say, "Go figure it out."
Good luck.
Yeah, and he was building this cabin down in down in Santa, Idaho. Actually, it's actually right across the draw from where Troy. It was funny. Me and Troy started talking, and it was literally right across the draw from where he cut his teeth hunting.
Grew up, yeah.
Yeah, and
he's from in that neck of the woods.
Yeah, and so I basically was hunting the same area that Troy grew up hunting, and my grandpa, he'd kick us a gun and say, "Yeah, go have fun," and we'd just go stroll through the woods all day. And I'd say off the get-go, I was really into elk hunting. I really wanted to get good at elk hunting.
Mm-hmm.
And whitetails was always something, too, that I was, big whitetail bucks it's always been there. I've always wanted to figure out how to kill big whitetail bucks, get consistent with it.
Yeah.
But the elk thing was really my driving force, I guess you'd say. And then we got into archery hunting. We started watching the Primos videos and getting like, oh man, these guys just go out there with bugle tubes.
Yeah.
And so I actually went and bought a term.
Every time they make a sound,
a
bull comes running
bulls.
in.
Yeah. And but there was a lot of learning curve there, man. Like, oh my gosh, it's not like that.
Mm-mm.
I wish it was. Sometimes.
Who was I talking to? I was talking to somebody about that today. Oh, it was my new buddy that works for Avista that's putting my power line in. He was here like approving my line so we could finally get power so I could record these without the generator in the background.
Right.
Anyway, yeah, he was talking about that. He's like, yeah, I was totally misled by Primos, man. I go out there and every time they squawked on a call, a big bull come running in and they'd shoot him, and I thought it was so easy. Yeah. And then you go out and you in real life on public land and get your teeth kicked in.
Yeah. And that and today I don't think the younger or the people that are getting into it now understand like how valuable some of this stuff is that's coming out.
Man.
It's just insane.
We didn't have any of that when I was a kid, man.
I mean, we had the Primos DVDs and you had to go spend, it was like $14 for a DVD.
Yep.
And then you'd try to take everything that they're doing and go apply it out here where we're hunting, and it didn't wasn't
work.
The same.
We're not on some. Well, I don't know where those guys hunt, but what I do know is where they hunt. There's less people, there's less traffic, there's fewer hunters, there's more vocal bulls, and the content. To your point, I guess what I'm trying to say, like today. Like you watched what the Phelps guys put out, or like Born and Raised, or some of these other platforms out there that put this stuff out there. It's more applicable and realistic, even though it's consolidated. Yeah. And and by consolidated, I mean they're taking 2 weeks of hunting and putting it into 20 minutes of a video and really showing you the highlights. But anybody with any kind of cognizant value in their mind could put it together that that was a lot of work to get to the point in that video in which that arrow was installed into that elk.
Exactly.
Right? And you can kind of think your way through it, and it's just it's so much more realistic. And you made a really good point with talking about the value that whether it's a young hunter or a new hunter coming into hunting, the value that is there before you.
Yeah.
It's amazing. Like we didn't have
have
anything like that.
It's almost like when I see, I don't know, social media anymore, it kind of aggravates me to get on social media and see some of these people and what they're like. My good friend Kevin Sawyer, he'll tell you the same. Like the art of discovery is not there anymore.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's like people rely too much on somebody else that's mastered it to be an instant hero, and I've got messages from the lake when I'm on the lake fishing, and it's like, hey, where are you at? What are you doing? How deep? How fast?
Yep.
They want to know all those details so they can go apply it. It's I don't know. I couldn't ask that stuff to people because it's embarrassing. I don't understand that mindset.
See, when it comes to fishing, I won't be embarrassed to come to you and be like, dude, because I can't catch one of those damn big rainbows.
No, and you're more than welcome to.
I'm kidding, but I know exactly what. And when you say they're devaluing, a part of what they're devaluing is their own experience.
Yeah.
Their own, like I've hunted with people that have, like, sometimes they or some of these guys that they've never hunted in their life, and they kind of want you to just kind of put them in front of a deer or something like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they're devaluing their own experience. Is going to take away from their expertise later as a hunter. And it's those little things that where you get your teeth kicked in and you make mistakes. You get busted by the wind because you went the wrong direction and or this or that. You know, it doesn't matter what it is. It's those little things that create expertise in a hunter. And you know, you just can't get the 1,000-yard stare.
It's the biggest learning. It's the biggest learning curve.
Yeah.
And it's almost, I don't know, when I fail, I almost appreciate it more than when I succeed, because I learn from that mistake that I can't, you know, it's like, okay, well, that didn't work. Cool. I know never to do that again in this scenario.
Yeah.
And it's just like, it helps you kind of build up. It's like Johnny Stewart says, it's building your toolbox.
Yeah,
you know?
Building your toolbox.
You can't build a
toolbox
repertoire without failing.
Mm-hmm.
So, like,
that's a great point.
You have to go out and fail.
Sometimes it's the success that you get so overwhelmed with the feeling of success, right? The joy and the relief and you forget the lessons that you learned to get to that point where when you fail, those are the things that stick in your mind forever. Like I remember making a shot when I was a teenager on a mule deer buck, and it went like right under his belly and hit the dirt. And it was the damnedest thing. It was like a cartoon. The buck kind of looked at where the gunshot came from because I was rifle hunting. He looks at me, and then he looks down at the ground where it hit, and then he looks back at me and runs off. Like, that's a moment I'll never forget. In hindsight, one of the things I learned from that is I had plenty of time to rack another round and put another round downrange. But I didn't know what I didn't know back then, right?
You're froze.
I was frozen. I was like, dang, that piece of lead hit right under his belly, and he gave me a perfect opportunity to take another shot, and I didn't do it because I didn't know. Yeah. Where now I'd have a round so fast jacked in the chamber, you know, he wouldn't have a chance.
If that's an experience that you're just never going to forget, and you're going to be like, hey, next time.
Yeah. It could have taken me another 10 years to learn the lesson that I learned there, which was once I release a round, if I'm rifle hunting, another round is going back in. Like, there's no hesitation. It's boom, crank it. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so that's one of those things that it would have taken me years to learn that without that little piece of failure.
And I had a similar experience with a bull elk 2 years ago. I got super excited, and I wasn't even in the elk hunting mindset. We were heading up the road to go do bear baits. We had 4 bear baits running that year, and my buddy Chris, I hunt with Chris a lot. Me and him are driving up the road, and there's a bunch of cows standing in the middle of the road. And I was like, man, that's weird. And I get out of the truck. I was like, maybe there's a bull with them. And I grab my bow. I had all my stuff with me. I just wasn't prepared for.
You weren't ready for action.
We're going to bear bait.
Yeah.
You know, and I get out of the truck, and all the cows take off down over the edge of the road, go down into the draw, and this guy comes driving up, and he pulls over, and he's talking with me, and he goes, "Hey, I'm sorry, man. I didn't mean to mess up your hunt." I was like, "Oh, you didn't mess anything up. These cows were standing in the road. I was just seeing if there was a bull." And he's like, "Oh, okay, well, right on." And we talked for a second, then he drove off, and I just waited for it to quiet down a little bit. And I don't know, it was probably 10 minutes, and I let a bugle out, and the bull's up on the bank above the road.
Oh, so he didn't come down.
He didn't come down. So all his cows went down below the road.
And he thought he lost them.
Oh, man. He got fired up. Like, oh, my gosh.
That's crazy,
and
dude.
So I run up the bank. I had glasses. I just got a new prescription, and I had my glasses on, and I'm got my bugle tube and my bow, and I'm running up through this alder thicket. I mean, it's just thick tag alder. And I'm running through it, and my shirt's getting ripped here and there, and I get up there. I get to where I think I'm pretty close to the bull, and I let out another bugle, and he cuts me off in the bugle. And then I hear brush breaking, and I can kind of see him, and he sits there, and he starts raking this tree, just raking it.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, oh, man, like, it's on, it's going to happen. So I knock an arrow, and I bugled at him, and he started coming towards me, and he hung up probably 30 yards from me. And I couldn't get a shot. And he would not come any closer. I was tucking my bugle under my armpit, and I was bugling down the hill.
Oh, yeah.
And
Throw it behind you.
Yeah. And I could see his body. I could see his head, and he'd looking and everything. And we probably did this for 20 minutes. Finally, I just said, screw it. I'm going to run at this bull,
mm-hmm.
and I'm going to bugle at him while I'm running at him. So I grabbed my bugle tube, and I'm running at this bull and bugling at the same time. And he kind of took a jump back, and then he just came in because he saw the motion, but he couldn't see me, and the wind's just coming right down the hill. It's evening. He comes down the hill, and he gets about 10 yards from me, and I have this perfect shot at him. And I draw back, shoot, and there's a piece of tag alder probably about the diameter of a quarter.
Oh, no.
And my arrow center punched that, and it stuck right where the fletching.
Oh, no, man.
Yeah, right?
Oh, I was excited until you said that.
I was like, oh. And he kind of jumped back, and he took off running. Well, I followed him up with the bugle. And he stopped, and he turned around, and he started coming back. And I knock another arrow, and he kind of just walks down to me, gets broadside again, about 20 yards.
Mm-hmm.
I go to draw back, and I'm shaking so bad at this point, and I'm flustered. My arrow comes off my rest and falls on the dirt. I got enough time to... I reach down, I grab my arrow off the dirt, put it back in the bow, get my release on, and I get about, I don't know, a quarter way into my pull, into my draw.
Uh-huh.
And he whirled, and he was gone forever. Huh? And I was just like, oh my gosh, man. Like, if I'd have just calmed down... The second shot, I would have got him, but
But the lesson you learned out of that, and the heartbreak you felt out of that. Are you as excited as I am about hunting season? Man, it's here, finally, and you still have time to save some money on some great gear by the sponsors who make this show possible. So let me tell you a little bit about them. Scree Gear. Scree is extreme mountain gear, and this is my, third season using Scree, and if it sucked, I would have changed by now. Guys, Scree is high-performance hunting attire. It is scientifically proven. It's backed by a great company. I wouldn't recommend these guys if I didn't believe in them wholeheartedly, and I just keep them on the show because it's great stuff, guys, without breaking the bank. And that's what I really like about the Scree gear. It's every bit as good as that super expensive stuff that you can get out there, but you're not going to break the bank getting it and get all geared up for complete layering systems, all terrain, all conditions, gear designed to adapt to the weather. It's all backed by a lifetime warranty, and when you order online at ScreeGear.com, VIP sizing and exchange program will cover you if you order the wrong size. You can send it back for free, and they'll send you the right size. It's a great company, great gear. Check it out at ScreeGear.com, if I can spit that out right. And use promo code The Western Huntsman for 15% off and free shipping. That is one heck of a deal. Let's roll right into Hoffman boots. Hoffman boots, I believe this is like my 8th or 9th season running a pair of Hoffmans. I use the Explorers, and I love the Hoffman Explorers in the 8-inch. You can also get them in the 6-inch. Depends. That's just kind of a personal preference thing. Hoffman boots are, again, kind of like Scree, where it's a great boot without spending an absorbent amount of money, right? So that's why I use the Hoffman boots, is because I'm getting everything that I need out of a boot. These are rugged boots. They last a long time. Like I told you, I'm going on like 8 or 9 years with these things, and I'm only on my second pair. They will keep you from sliding down the mountain because they've got excellent traction, excellent waterproofing, excellent everything. Go to hoppandboots.com and use promo code Huntsman10 for 10% off. Phelps Game Calls, the oldest sponsor on this here Western Huntsman podcast. I am recording this on the opening day of archery elk season, and I've got all my Phelps stuff laid out, ready to go. I use the Maverick I use the Renegade. I use the new metal tube. All of it. It's great stuff. It has never let me down. I've been using it for a long time. I was one of the first believers in Phelps Game Calls, and you should be too. Go to phelpsgamecalls.com. Use promo code Huntsman10 to save you 10% when on your order, and good luck out there. Here we go, September. And last but not least is Tactacam. Tactacam is a unique sponsor on the Western Huntsman podcast, and you can get all the Tactacam products at thewesternhuntsman.com, a portion of which goes to conservation efforts in fighting against the anti-hunting movement. So be sure to go to thewesternhuntsman.com and pick you up some cameras. You can get I recommend getting 2 cameras if you're going to self-film. Get the 5.0 and get the wide lens. Those 2 you can basically attach to yourself, or if you're in the states that allow it, to a weapon and film your entire hunt. They also have cool products like the Spotter LR. They have the Reveal cell cameras, which are way cool. We should have those on the website here shortly. And go check it out at thewesternhuntsman.com/gear and let me know what you think. Let's get back to the show, and here we go.
The lesson I learned, this is the biggest takeaway I had with that bull, was that, if it all comes down to you just can't make him come to you anymore. Mm-hmm. If your wind's right and everything, you can run right at him.
Yeah.
And he was so worried about his cows down below the road, because he was separated. I just think that bull, he had so much pull to those cows, and he was wanting to protect them so much.
He thought there was another bull trying to steal his cows.
So in that scenario, I feel like, you can get away with getting, being super aggressive on them. And
it's freaking awesome.
Man, it was cool. It was like,
I love lessons like that, man. But, I mean, that is exactly what hunting is and what it's for. We got to take a pee break. I'm pausing it.
Right on.
We'll be right back, folks, after these messages. Okay, we're back. It was a good pee break. If we're being, was it good for you?
Yeah,
it was good for me. when you're drinking beer, I want to get back to something you said before we paused there. That story you just told, that was September, right?
Yeah.
And you were going to check your bear bait.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about that. You're baiting quite a bit in the fall, because I'm like a student of this whole bear baiting thing.
Yeah, we normally this year we're gonna run 3 baits, and we might throw a 4th one in. We'll run anywhere from at least 3 to maybe 5 baits a year, and part of that reason too is just because the area that we're in, that we bait bears in, it's pretty roadless. And the hound hunters can't get to it, and so we've got the wolf problem plus the bear problem, eat calves and fawns and things like that. And it's just it's kind of something I think we need to take into consideration and try to at least knock some of these things down.
Sure.
I know the wolves. I've heard some biologists talk about wolves digging bears up out of their den in the wintertime while they're hibernating. But up there, man, I've got cameras. I think I've got 22 cameras out up there, spread out over a 50 square mile area. And there's bears on every single one of them, multiple bears.
Yeah.
And without bait. And it was something I listened to you talk about in one of your recent podcasts with your spring bear hunting, was with Nate Davenport.
Yeah.
And he was talking about how, he's set up and he's got this bear bait going, and he's within a few hundred yards of another guy that has one, and they've got completely different bears on those baits.
And that's what we were talking about, was our surprise as to how many freaking bears we actually have.
Yeah.
You never know, because when you spend as much time in the woods as I do and you do, you do see deer, you see elk, you see different species out there periodically, and every once in a blue moon you'll see a black bear.
Yeah.
But when you look at it from the perspective of your game cameras, and you see how many bears are in that area, Like, I was blown away with my bear bait and how many bears I had on that thing and how much time I've spent there in the past, and all I've seen is a little bit of bear sign in the past. But yet I had 10 some odd bears on that camera in a 3-week time period.
Yeah.
It's nuts.
We have one bait that we have, last year we had 18 bears on just the one site. 18 different bears. And I mean, I don't know. I just think it's something that if you appreciate the land and you have the ability to do it, it's something we need to manage them. They need to be managed.
They do.
I mean, there's nothing real. I mean, yeah, even if there is a pack of wolves up there, say, and they are digging a few of those bears up in the winter, they're still.
Yeah, I'm a lot more worried about wolves destroying game populations than I am with bears. And so the question I had on that topic was with elk and deer and all these fall hunts going on, why do you choose to bait in the fall? Is there like a reason, or is it just something added?
It's just, I don't know.
Because that's an undertaking, dude. 5 barrels.
It's so much fun. I like the chaos personally, and I love fall bear meat. And it's kind of funny because I've heard some people talk about, spring bear meat, and their spring bear meat's really good. And I believe it. I mean, bear meat, when we have it, we go through it very fast. We always try to have a bear in the freezer every year. Yeah. Just because the meat is so good.
It is good. But
those fall bears, too, they have a lot of fat on them. And I like to render that fat down. And
what do you do with it?
Like,
what do you do?
Bear fat donuts,
that sounds pretty good.
Yeah, you can render that grease or that fat down to a grease, and you can deep fry your donuts. You can make homemade donuts and deep fry them in bear grease.
God dang, like that's just what I need, man.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things in the wintertime,
there would be a lot
Thanksgiving
more fat.
Or something, you're like,
make something crazy like that for the family. Do you tell like some of your family at Thanksgiving that, hey, have a donut, and then after they eat it, that was rendered out of bear fat?
I did that. Okay, so my mom actually was the one that got me. She was like, I really want to make bear fat donuts, so get me some bear fat. I need this fall. Hopefully I'll get her a bunch of bear fat so she can make some bear fat donuts. But
all right, man.
I got her with mountain lion.
Oh, did you?
Yeah. So we had all this mountain lion meat. I don't know. We off one of the cats when we skinned it out, we grinded it up, and we made a breakfast sausage out of the mountain lion meat. I was like, I'm gonna cook breakfast this morning. This was when I was like probably in my early 20s. And I made her scrambled eggs with mountain lion sausage.
And she didn't know?
She didn't know.
Did you tell her?
Yeah.
After? What'd she say?
She got this look on her face, just really. She didn't like it.
People are blown away, dude.
It's just funny because, I mean, yeah, you talk to people and you're like, hey, mountain lion's really good. And they give you this look.
Like, are you serious?
Like, well, think about it. They
Same
eat
with
everything
bears.
that we're going out there and eating, so the meat's got to be good. I mean, bears, that's kind of what I've noticed with bears. Like, the last couple fall bears that we've gotten, when the huckleberry crop is really good, and it carries on to, like, now, later in the season, like, you can skin those bears open, and the meat smells sweet.
Oh, I'm sure.
It doesn't have, like, this, I don't know, like, most of the spring bears I've gutted and skinned out, they almost have a different smell to them. I'm not saying it's a bad smell, but
it's just different.
Yeah, it's different. And the fall bears, when I've skinned them out and smelled it, it's like, man, it smells almost like huckleberry pie.
Interesting.
I mean, just
okay, good to know, man. I'm setting a barrel this fall. I've always kind of, it's been my opinion, I'm so busy with everything else, with elk and deer and everything, that I've never really tried it. But season does open, I think, in September for fall bear.
Yeah.
And it runs through what, like November?
It opens Monday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, just like elk.
Yeah.
So
isn't that crazy?
I know, right? This is the first time in like a decade
ways.
back to August 30.
Yeah.
For an elk opener, and I might have a game plan for opening day.
Right on.
I think I have a pretty good game plan. So anyway, gosh, okay, I gotta make note. I keep hitting my mic stand with my hand. I know I've said it in other episodes, but yeah, I get my arms flailing around. So we've been at this almost an hour. We need to circle back, and I want to hit some whitetail.
Yeah.
Because we're talking about scrapes.
Yeah.
And don't derail me anymore.
I won't.
I'm
sorry.
Only whitetail.
I'm excited about the whitetail thing. I mean,
I know
it was literally the first time that I heard Troy talk about whitetails was on this podcast, and I was just amped.
And that was like year and a half ago.
Yeah,
probably 2 seasons ago.
Though. 2 seasons. Yeah,
2 seasons ago. So, I think one thing that'll really stand out to me, like, what is different in your mind when it comes to hunting whitetails on public land in the mountains? Now, like, what do you do differently now than you did, say, 3 years ago?
Oh man, 3 years ago it was like November. November comes and now it's like
you just wait for a dumb one.
Yeah, and I almost am dreading November coming now, because when November comes, those bucks that I have on camera, they're gone. And I mean, I've kind of done some research, and I've talked to Johnny Stewart a few times, and that's something that's really cool. Is you could, like, me and you talked about, is, you know, Troy's setup is pretty much the base of it's the core of what I'm doing. It's the way he does it. But I've taken, like, talking to Johnny Stewart and listening to some different podcasts like the DeQuestos, and it seemed like man, like, there is so much information out there, and it might not all apply to here, but little tidbits of what they all have
little things like nuances and behavioral things about a whitetail. You could pick up probably some really good whitetail hunter in Kansas that's hunting a lease, right? And it can apply to a public land buck.
And that's kind of how I look at our woods. The only thing that really stands out, or I guess the only roadblock for me in hunting them in early season, is the elk hunting pressure that we have, which is, that's what everybody up here, September comes, it's elk, and I cannot blame anybody for that.
I don't know why there's no elk in North Idaho.
Right. Well, I don't get it. There's there used to be, but just kind of the volcano, right?
Maybe the new message on my show should be there's no elk in North Idaho.
Yeah.
They're all down by Boise. Oh no, wait. I said that wrong. I got corrected. It's Boise.
Boise.
I've always said Boise, and I had like 2 people email me, and they're like, "You got to quit saying Boise. It's no
Boise.
It's Boise."
Yeah, I call it Boise.
I've just said I've always said Boise.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. So, but I appreciate the listener feedback either way. I'll try to say it Boise.
We all gotta get corrected every once in a while, I guess. So.
Oh, I'm famous for it. I mispronounce all sorts of stuff. So I don't care. Anyway, getting back to that, what you were talking about, and just like the different tidbits that you're putting together, can you kind of, without giving too many secrets away, or getting too in depth, because we're getting short on time here, walk us through your whitetail process for this year. What you have coming
last year, so this has been a 3-year process now with this buck I call Sarge, and I saw him when we were another time.
So you actually name him. You name him.
I named him Sarge.
Sarge.
Yeah.
I like it.
And I saw him 3 years ago. We were actually heading out to where we were elk hunting, and saw him, and I had a shot at him, and I didn't take the shot. I just didn't feel comfortable with the shot that I had with him, and it was bow season, and I never took the shot.
Were you in a tree stand, or?
No, we were on the ground.
On the ground, okay.
So, then the next time that I started trying to figure out, like, how do I get these bucks patterned? Because, you see one up there. He's a big buck, Sarge is. He's one of the bigger deer I've ever had a chance at harvesting. And I wanted to figure it out. And that's about a year later, I heard that podcast with you and Troy, and I started kind of diving into it and then going down the rabbit hole with that. And so I put a scrape in, and I put several scrapes in, and I found another buck called Thumper, and he's on a different ridge. I just kind of spread out.
Did he have like a collar with a name tag? Or
no.
Where'd you come up with Thumper from?
He's got a kicker that comes off his.
Oh, gotcha.
His
I kind of like that name,
G2,
Thumper.
And it's I don't know, it's about 6 inches long.
Really?
Yeah.
Is that the one you sent me a picture of?
Yeah, probably.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you sent me. No, I don't know. Maybe it was. Maybe it was. Anyway, I look at a lot of picture of deer.
But I named it, so that buck we named Thumper, and I don't know. I found that scrape. Well, I found that scrape. That was an original scrape. I never built that scrape. And I hung a camera on it, and that buck showed up to it. And then Sarge finally showed up on that camera, and I was like, that's the buck that I saw 3 years ago. I'm doing what you're doing.
That's okay. They're loud microphone stands.
So I built the scrape down in this draw, and I got a picture of him and 3 other bucks, put it on video mode, and this year, so last season I tore my Achilles, and I couldn't hike down into that draw to get to where he's at without falling on my face. So I had to sit that all last season out for deer hunting, and this
that was 2019.
Yeah, or no, that was 2020.
2020.
So 2020, I pretty much was tapped out.
Dang, man, that sucks.
I was a flatlander. I couldn't go hiking up.
Like
in
you're
the
from
woods.
Boise or something.
Yeah, exactly.
Flatlanders.
I had to go down and hunt the Boise.
I have a bunch of friends down in Boise. I call them flatlanders just to ruffle their feathers. It's pretty funny. They get all bent out of shape with me.
Yeah. So so this spring I got after it. As soon as I could get up there, I got up there and I put new batteries in the cameras, pulled cards. Saw that a buck had come back, and I mean, just the way his face was shaped and everything, I was like, oh man, I think that's him. Wasn't 100% sure.
Thumper or Sarge?
Sarge. So then spring goes on, and like my deer, I checked it in June. I checked that camera in June, and I got one video of him and another buck, and all the rest of them were just gone. And I was like, man, what the heck? Like, these deer just left this area. Something's up. Went from a dynamite spot to nothing. And I'm sitting there thinking, like, oh, I messed something up. I came in here wrong, or I spread some scent, and they're done with this scrape. So there's a little watering hole up above where I put that scrape. And this is when we were getting hit with those hot temperatures.
Oh yeah, the crazy 100 some odd
degree.
110,
109.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, I know this is one of the few spots on this mountainside that has water, so I'll put a camera here. And I checked it in July, the end of July. Went up and checked that camera, and I got one of the bucks on there. And then a bear came in and hit the camera and just mangled it. So it was off the watering hole, but it's facing this trail that comes off from a different direction. And I got a picture of a bear, a big bear walking down this trail. Then I got a picture of a hound dog. Then I got a picture of another hound dog. And then I got a picture of a hunter coming down the trail.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
It was a
like
houndsman?
old sequence. It was like, I was like, man, this is cool.
How much time between the bear and the first hound?
So it was like 5 minutes.
Oh, okay.
I mean, it was close. And
I wonder if that houndsman caught up to that bear.
Yeah, I thought about posting the stuff on like social media.
Yeah.
And just saying, hey, is this you?
How cool would that be if you're a houndsman, you get this bear, and then some other dude had a camera that got the whole sequence in on the game camera. That'd be cool.
Yeah.
You could like print those pictures out and put it with the bear rug or something.
Yeah, I mean, cool. I thought this pretty close to the same thing. I was like, man, I'd love to find out who this guy is. Well, so after I checked that camera in July, the beginning of this last month, I went up and started walking around doing some more hiking, and I was like, I bet you this guy's got a bait somewhere up there against the road, and he's been running bears off this spot, and that's probably why I haven't had the deer activity. I just started thinking about, so I started hiking around, and I found his bait, and I was like, oh, okay, and it's right above. It's probably 700 or 800 yards above my scrape, which as a crow flies, I mean,
not very far.
No. So I thought, well, I need to move. So I went out on this other ridge, and it's about a mile from that spot. And I went out on this other ridge, and then I went in deeper. I went 1.5 miles in on this ridge, and thought, I found this bench that comes off this ridge. It's just a little subtle bench, and there's an edge. We've got dark timber on the left, and then it opens up into this big huckleberry patch. And it's kind of a scattered old growth, but it's got some sun filtering through, a lot of greenery. Yeah. And so I built a scrape right there on that spot, and like a week later, Sarge is on that in the middle of the day, well, not the middle of the day, but 9:30 in the morning.
Yeah, well, for whitetail, that's middle of the day.
I mean, it's like early enough in the morning. I'm like, okay, cool. So I'm getting kind of closer to him, and it was I don't know, just e-scouting and trying to adapt to the pressure. It's like, okay, well, we know the pressure's here, and the pressure actually, at first I was like, well, dang it. Now I've got to start all over again, but it kind of helped me narrow down the spot
as to where
that buck would be hanging out. And that's kind of a cool thing to take from that scenario. It was like, all right, got pressure here, obviously. And if there's dogs running all the time from this area, obviously a mature buck, he's got to know how to get around that. I don't know, he's not going to want to be in that. It's especially with the wolves that we have here and everything. It's like any canine sound I feel that would deter a mature buck. And it's like Troy says, it's one time and they're gone.
Yeah. One thing. Yeah. I remember him talking. Well, it'd be cool if we had him on this conversation too, to kind of roll into season. 'Cause it starts, like you said, it's Thursday.
Yeah.
For those of you listening, and hunting season start on Monday, and we're sitting in the studio here on a Thursday. I've got a couple more guys coming tomorrow on Friday to record, and so it's like the summer of a lot of local hunters, right? And so it's pretty cool. I've been neglecting my local hunters lately, so I'm pretty excited about it, but. Anyway, the point with that is then we hit Monday, and hunting season is we're off to the races at that point. Between elk and whitetail, and now you add a bear to my list because I wasn't planning on doing really any serious bear hunting this year.
You're in the spot.
But I'm in the spot
you
here.
Are.
And I got a plan, dude. There is a bear hanging out like 200 yards from where we're sitting, and I haven't seen him yet, and I should go put a camera out there, but... it's just going to be a great season, and I really want to track how your season goes, and then we need to do like a post-season update after, where if you don't mind coming back up here.
Yeah, I'd love to.
Because I have this funny suspicion we're gonna be keeping close tabs on each other.
Yeah,
right.
Absolutely.
And I'm here for you, man.
Yeah.
If you need some help packing out this season or something.
Yeah, and you too.
I'll send my kids.
Calling.
No,
I love to call.
Yeah, me too.
Like when we go out hunting, that's usually I'll call. I love elk hunting, but this year, it's been the deer thing, and I'm just, I
know how it feels.
I'm not an expert on it yet. I'm learning still,
but you're getting
there. But it's been such a cool. I don't know how to explain it. It's just been such a cool trial and error.
I wonder if we could create like this roundtable discussion, like me, you, and Troy Pottinger.
Oh, I'd love that. That'd be so cool.
We should both hit him up.
Yeah.
Well, if we tag team him, I'll bet you he might agree to do it.
He might fold. He's gonna be busy though. I know his son Tyson's playing for the Bobcats. I've
Yeah.
been following that a little bit, and that's kind of. So I know he's super stoked about that, and then he's got some.
Then he's got Jess out there running around catching bass all over the western United States. It's just a busy season. So, no, I'm thinking this winter we might be able to do sit down and do like a round table or something.
Recap on the season.
Yeah, I think it'd be cool, man.
I've got a morning spot and I've got an evening spot this year. So
for deer?
And that's okay. So this whole next week I'm gonna be I leave the house at 3:30 and I'll be home probably about 9 o'clock, and that's.
Let me ask you this: it's like, whoops, there we go, hitting the mic stand again. And obviously this episode is not going to be released today, right? And we're knocking on September's door. This is probably 2, maybe 3 weeks out before it even comes out. But like, is it too late in the year to start setting scrapes?
No.
If somebody's interested?
No.
You don't think so?
No.
All right, cool.
I've set some up. If anything, they're going to just start getting better. But I'd say from what I've learned, don't just go out and set up a scrape. Like, try to understand why you're putting a scrape in that spot and like why it would be conducive to put one there. I mean, you want to take into account the feed, what's still green, and something that I've noticed, those little thimbleberries, they look like raspberries out there in the woods. My deer eat that stuff like crazy. I've got videos of them, and anytime there's that thimbleberry, it's got the big leaf.
Oh yeah. You know, I know what you're talking about.
Pay attention to some of the what they're feeding on, browsing on, bedding areas. You know what? I've had a lot of luck with the north slope for a bedding area and getting kind of close to a north slope. But at the same time, having a south slope not too far from it. If that makes any sense. So, I mean, I'd like to get down off the north slope a little bit. Or an east slope. It's just depending. Either way, like if I have a ridge that's going east and west, there's a north and south face to it.
Right, yeah.
And I've had a lot of success with ridges like that. But I mean, like, it's like Troy says in his videos, you walk into that timber and it's almost like you need the lights turned on.
Yeah.
It's dark, you know. And those are cooler areas. And a lot of my deer that I've got on camera right now are close to spots like that. You know, I've got cover, I've got feed, and then there's water close by. Especially after this year with the heat, it was just like,
oh man,
I mean, water is huge for everything this year. So, like, I would think about that, but then also think about the rut too, and maybe try to set something up where, you know, if like I've been driving down the roads and looking for deer tracks and looking for does lately, because I'm kind of thinking, okay, well, if I can't make something happen in September in early season, then I'll have a spot, you know, where there's lots of does, and maybe those bucks will get pulled off those spots, and maybe they're coming down to where those does are headed, like hanging out, feeding, you know,
for
those
sure,
doe areas. So
I've
been trying to keep tabs on those, and Onyx or base map, whatever you prefer. It's like, it's a good tool. Like, you see a deer, just mark it, and then when you get time later that evening, just get on your base map or your Onyx and look at it, look at where you saw that deer, and try to think about why that deer was using that spot. Like, what's conducive in that spot for that deer to be there? Yeah. Especially up in the woods, it's like, I mean, when you only have so many deer per mile or square mile, you know, it's like, I've got a spot. The last 3 times I've marked 3 waypoints in this spot now. In the last 10 times I've been up in the woods
on your Onyx.
And I just happened to see a doe run across the road in this spot. And it's weird, but it's like, I marked it, and then the next time I was driving through, I saw a doe again. And I always have, once I leave the dirt, once I get off the pavement, I'm on the dirt, I always have my Onyx on when I'm going to scout deer, so it's quick for me to just park, mark my location, and then just keep driving. Well, I did this the second time I did it. I didn't think about it. I mark my location, and I had put 2 waypoints in that spot, both does.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and then the third time was a little raghorn buck, a little spike buck.
That's interesting, man, because you do kind of tend to see those does on those, like I have my main travel corridors through my unit, right?
Yeah.
All these dirt roads. I'm always on the same ones, and I always see deer in the same places. And so, yeah, there's something to it.
But if you think about it, like those bucks, those big mature bucks that we're hunting up high right now, you know, eventually they're going to want to breed, or there's a doe on that scrape that's, you know, that they're keeping tabs on that they're going to breed with. But
yeah.
I mean, if you have that in your backpack, like, hey, you know, I'm not seeing my buck on my trail camera. I'm not, you know, I haven't seen any activity or anything. It's like you look on your Onyx and be like, oh, yeah, this spot, it's only this many, it's only a mile away or a mile and a half away, and I've consistently seen does here. Might be worth walking through there come November, because some of that scent's going to be going up the mountain.
For sure.
Yeah, it's just, I don't know. I'm trying to build myself a toolbox.
Yeah,
right now.
no, this is great. I can see, like, as you're explaining some of this, you're working through like how you're going to process this information, like in your own mind. It's almost like, and I do this all the time. And what I've learned is one of the best ways for me to learn is to try to teach other people, right? And you're teaching me, because I don't know hardly. All I know about whitetail deer are what Troy Pottinger, you know, taught me, and then you. And so I think it's just going to be a good season for you, man. I'm looking forward to whitetail season. My whitetail season is going to be mainly focused on getting my girls a buck, because this is their first year. But I know that I have a couple of, not backup plans, but some plans for my own whitetail hunt this year. But man, I appreciate you coming on the show.
Yeah,
dude.
No, thanks for having me.
This is fun. We're gonna do it again, right?
Yeah.
Time goes by
Hopefully
quick
it won't
when you're
be so
recording.
like shaken up. I mean, I've never done this mic thing before.
Popped your cherry on this one, huh?
Yeah.
No, that's cool,
so
man. It's
kind of scatterbrained, but
I know a lot of people they get nervous coming on the show, or their nerves get fried a little bit, you know. But I always tell people this is not some live performance.
Yeah.
If we screw it up, I could delete it.
Yeah.
So that's
it's been fun.
No, it's good.
It's cool. Thank you.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it, man. Thanks for coming on. We're going to keep track of you during the season. For those of you listening, thanks a bunch for tuning in. This is me and Steve Johnson signing off. I do want to remind you guys, if you don't mind hitting either like Apple iTunes or that other one, I think it's Podbean or something like that, and writing us a good review. Because we've been kind of going after some of the anti-hunters. We got some bad ones written. So to counter that, I need you guys to go out there and write some good reviews for us, and I would appreciate that. And with that, guys, anything else?
No.
I appreciate it, man.
Thank you.
We might have to have one more beer.
Yeah, I
okay.
think so.
All right, brother. Thanks, guys. We'll talk to you next week. You made it all the way to the end. Thank you so much for tuning into the show. We sure appreciate your support. This is Jim Huntsman signing off and reminding you to check us out at Instagram at The Western Huntsman and on Facebook at The Western Huntsman. And you can also check out the website at thewesternhuntsman.com. Thanks again. We'll see you guys next time. Stay Western, and I'll see you on the mountain.